gone, and I want you back.
Miguel Jontel Pimentel, or simply Miguel, born October 23, 1985. Today's feature is an artist that was the hottest in R&B when he first really hit the scene in 2010 with the release of his hit song featuring J. Cole, All I Want Is You, that peaked at number 7 on the hip-hop and R&B charts. It went platinum, followed by his song Sure Thing that did even better, landing at the number 1 spot on the same charts and top 10 overall. Sure Thing sold millions of copies in 6 different countries, catapulting Miguel's album to platinum status as well, completing a successful introduction to the music industry for who I think is one of the best male R&B artists off singing talent alone in the last 15 years. Sure Thing even had a second win in 2023 thanks to it becoming a hit trending song on TikTok. His results may not reflect that he's been an elite R&B artist, singer, and songwriter, as his second album 2 years later was his last to have the same effect and reaction from the industry and its fans. He hasn't released an album since 2017, with rumors of a new album dropping this year at any time now, without the anticipation it once had back in the early 2010s. He did happen to release a few EPs since then, one in 2019, which was his first Spanish language project that peaked at 11 on the Latin charts, that was well received by the fans that even knew he had another project coming out. Miguel is said to have a sound that can always draw listeners in, where the only time it misses the mark is when the direction isn't received a certain way or even a bit ahead of its time to be understood and enjoyed on a mass level. Personally, he's been going through a lot in his time away from releasing albums, like his divorce in 2022 from a woman he's known since he was 18 years old and has been in a relationship with for 17 years. He's also said to have been down a spiritual journey of personal growth that he promises to address in his new album. Maybe a certain group of his fans truly care about this side of his journey, but most just want to know what happened to the music. Was it the leg drop on a fan that caused him to lose favor? Was it a lack of creativity and motivation with everything going on in his home life? Or was it simply time for an artist that's been hot for a decade to finally cool off at 38 years old and accept as an artist you're never as hot as the first time you were hot ever again in your career? Miguel was R&B's golden boy early 2010s, many expecting he'd carry the torch for R&B for the next 15 years, but that hasn't exactly happened that way over time, and then 6 years without a full-length project, only feeling a sense of urgency because of his newfound TikTok success, doesn't exactly build anticipation that this album will bring him closer to those expectations. What exactly happened to Miguel as an artist, and what can we expect moving forward? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Miguel is a singer, songwriter, producer, and even actor from San Pedro, California, of Mexican and African American descent that saw the results of a strained relationship between a man and a woman all throughout his childhood, leading to his parents divorcing when he was 8 years old. Both his mother and father had their own musical taste that was on full display throughout the household, inspiring a young Miguel to become interested in music, specifically singing. A friend of his introduced him to Drop Squad, a production company who signed him in 2000. He was later signed to Black Ice and even released a song and music video before changing his hood R&B image to something that better suited his true nature. From there, Mark Pitts at Jive Records became interested in Miguel after hearing the record Sure Thing and signed him. He recorded the album All I Want Is You, which was delayed for 3 years after being sued by former label Black Ice for breach of contract. Jive undershipped the album and weren't able to promote it like promised because of its dissolution, and it sold just 11,000 copies first week. His next few singles, Sure Thing and Quickie, helped it to re-enter the charts and sell over 400,000 copies within a year and go platinum in the US and multiple countries. Miguel was becoming a star in music with a chance to be the face of R&B for the next 10 to 15 years. Stunt number 1, The Leg Drop. Miguel, by 2013, had already released 2 successful R&B albums. His second album, Kaleidoscope Dream, was highly successful, becoming the #1 R&B album in the country, selling over 70,000 copies first week, producing the hits How Many Drinks, Do You, and Adorn, which was the biggest song of his career before Sure Thing re-entered the charts in 2023. Miguel was performing the song Adorn at the 2013 Billboard Music Awards when mid-song he attempted to jump from one part of the stage to the other, a move that was practiced many times during rehearsal and one that caused much controversy for who indeed sanctioned the jump. According to Miguel's representatives, the producers of the show never spoke out against the jump, just confirmed that he would do it so they could get the camera angles of it they needed. According to the producers of the show though, they warned Miguel of making the jump because it was too dangerous, as there was no way to rehearse crowd members being directly in the way of the jump, with their hands likely extended and even some reaching for the singer that could pull him down and get someone hurt. It's exactly what happened when he did in fact attempt the jump and fell short of the other side, landing on a fan and leg dropping her into the side of the stage. Miguel quickly checked on the fan but continued to perform, but the damage was already done on so many levels. Miguel would be sued by the fan 2 years later and settle the dispute, but it didn't stop the memes from flying, so to speak, clowning him for his failed attempt, making Miguel sort of a clown on social media to those that didn't know or weren't fans of his music. All they had to go off was the viral clip, and I think it took some steam away from him as an artist. He didn't release an album for 2 years after the incident, and when he did, sales-wise, it didn't compete with his prior albums. It did, however, spawn 2 Grammy nominations, but popularity-wise, Miguel's image was less appealing than it was before the leg drop. Stunt number 2, the 7 years off. It's been almost a decade since Miguel last released a studio album, his last coming in 2017, the politically undertoned War and Leisure. In music, as I'm sure you already know, 3 years off could mean the tide changing for an artist's career, where fans may have already moved on to other artists, or the mood of music moving on to something new and fresh, whether it be a new sound that goes viral, or new artists the fans are now caught up on, and anyone not doing music like them are considered not in the popular circle. 5 years could mean the death of a career, but 7 seems more like a small retirement, even for an R&B artist. The thing about R&B artists is they all have to actually have musical talent to be able to hit certain notes that sound good to the human ear, and if you can't sing, more chance than not you won't have lengthy success outside your personality or some viral moment, but nothing further. It's the reason R&B has more of a shelf life than, say, rapping, because anyone can be a rapper, especially in today's social media climate. Beneficial for artists like Miguel, who had taken so much time off because his talent is something that never goes away. What does go away is the appeal an artist has in the fans' eyes, which is why stunt number 1 is so important. December exactly will make 7 years in between projects should Miguel not release his album as promised, which was done to appease a newfound fan base of TikTokers interested enough to make he and label in business to capitalize. Whether they do or not, that time took Miguel from face of R&B, which he was expected to be by now, to who knows where he'll land on his next project. All that is known is he missed out on a great deal of time in between that stunted his growth for the time being. Stunt number 3. I don't think there is a stunt number 3 for Miguel as an artist beyond him being publicly clowned for the infamous leg drop or his hiatus from music. There were some allegations that came about in 2017, ones I personally take very seriously and won't even mention because of there not being enough proof, simply because a person was accused. Miguel is gearing up for a new album release in 2024, with Sure Thing back on the charts more than a decade later. I am concerned that the song has been the most traction he's gotten since the early 2010s, with none of his other music receiving much notoriety or attention from fans. He hasn't had a song with 1 million views in 3 years on YouTube, and some fans have been questioning his music direction in his latest releases. For an artist to rely on the attention of TikTok to release a new project means there may not be much more innovation in the tank for Miguel. All in all, Miguel has had a solid music career, including a Grammy win and many nominations. With 2 platinum albums under his belt and a greatest hits of platinum songs, in no way was his career a failed experience, but in my opinion, he could have been a much bigger artist if not for these reasons. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.